Hey, fourth grade. We're going to jump ahead a little bit today. We're going to look at lesson 9, and then when we get back to school, we're going to do some more review on multiples and factors. But make sure my pen is working. Today, we're going to do a little bit on dividing whole numbers. Okay, so you just got done doing some work on multiplying using the area model and partial product, and so now we're going to start jumping into dividing whole numbers. We're going to start looking at some bigger numbers. Now, you should remember from third grade, and interestingly enough, third grade is working on learning and understanding division, but division is just a fact family of multiplication. So in multiplication, when we do, 5 times 3 equals 15, we're saying 5 groups of 3 equals 15, or 3 groups of 5 equals 15. And in division, we're saying the opposite. We're saying the total, that we know what we have. So I have 15. And remember, we're going to use, I don't know if you have listened to the third grade lesson much, or if this was taught to you last year, but I want you to think about a division sign as saying cut up into. And you will be seeing division written in more ways than just with this sign. So we'll talk about that further. But I want you to think about it as I have 15 cut up into 5 groups. So now it would be like having a drawing of 15 pennies, and you're going to cut them up or circle 5 groups, and you're trying to figure out how many would be in each group. And it would be 3. Or you can say I have 15 cut up into 3 groups, and it would be 5 in each group. So I want you to keep that in mind, that multiplication and division are opposites. They're fact families. So if you're trying to figure out, let me erase this, give myself a little room here. If you're trying to figure out, let's say 21 divided by 3 equals what? It's just a backwards multiplication problem. So in other words, you're saying what times 3 equals 21. So now it's just you're trying to figure out your little mystery number here. What times 3 equals 21? So how many groups of 3 make 21? And then it would be 7. Okay? So you've learned how to multiply one-digit numbers by multiples of 10 and 100. Remember, and 1,000. Remember, the trick is we're adding zeros. Okay? It's a little more than that, as we discussed, but the trick is add your zeros, okay? So the Chase family drives 3,000 miles across the country. They drive for 5 days. So in other words, 3,000 miles, I'm going to think about this, 3,000 miles cut up into 5 days is how much would they drive in each day? So they're going to travel the same distance each day. So how many miles does the Chase family drive? And here's a picture showing you have 3,000 miles, and we have to cut it up equally into 5 groups. Cut up into. Remember that. Cut up into. So here's 1 group, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what division equation can be used to solve this? Well, look at here. That cut up into sure helps you think about things like that. So it's going to be 3,000 cut up into 5 equals what? So what is the related multiplication equation? Well, how many groups did we make? We made 5 groups of what? 5 groups of what? Don't know yet. Equals 3,000. Okay, so what basic multiplication fact can you use to help you find the answer? Well, hopefully when you're looking at this, you're seeing, 5? What looks familiar over here? 5 times what equals, hopefully you're sticking out and noticing there's a 30 in there. Okay, so 5 times, whoops. 5 times what equals, 30. What fact is that? Should be 5 times 6 equals 30. So if you divide 30 hundreds, because that's what 3,000 is, it's 30 hundreds, into 5 groups, how many hundreds are in each group? You're going to have 6 hundreds in each group. So how can the basic math fact help you find 3,000 divided by 5? Well, 6 hundreds is 600, right? So if I know 30 divided by 5 equals 6, or 5 times 6 equals 30. So 3,000 divided by 5 equals, okay, so watch what we're going to do here. So we know 30 divided by 5, or 5 times 6 equals 30. But remember, we're talking about hundreds here. We've got these 2 zeros left over, right? Whoop, whoop. So it's just going to be 6,000. You're going to use your 30. 5 times 6 equals 30, and then add those 2 zeros. Okay, so to explain how to find the number of miles that the Chase family drives each day, you have 3,000 cut up into 5 days is 600 miles per day. $30 cut up into 5 equals 6. But 3,000, okay, is 30 hundreds. So 6 is 600. Oops, 600s. Or 600. Remember, you can pause this video, you can go backwards, you can make it slower even if you're good at YouTube and you know how to slow down my voice. You can pause it at any time, rewind, go forward, rewatch. If I went too fast, just look at it again, okay? So let's take a look. So here is an area model to show this. Okay, the area model below shows the numbers for the Chase family trip. So they have 3,000 that they go the whole trip, and they're cutting it up into 5. So in other words, that's saying 600, 600, 600, 600, 600 every, or 600 times 5 makes the total trip 3,000. Okay, so an area model shows both 5 times 600 equals 3,000, so it shows multiplication and division. 3,000 cut up into 5. You see how I did both with this model? The way they showed it is we're going to go 600 miles 5 times, and it's going to give us 3,000. Or 3,000 cut up into 5 is going to give us 600 per day. Sorry, that's messy. So 3,000 divided by 5 is 600. So here are two possible ways you could break apart the factor 600 and 3,000. Okay, remember, factors are the two numbers that you're multiplying. So they're saying, wait a minute, 600 miles a day, that could be 300 plus 300. So that's 3 times 5 is 15, and add your 2 zeros, and then do that again. 3 times 5 is 15, and add your 2 zeros. So that would be 1,500 miles would do half of the trip. If you add that up twice, you get 3,000. Or, look what they did. They divided it up into hundreds. 600 of them. Well, not 600 of them, but 600, 6 groups. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. There's our 600 times 5. 500, 500, 500, 5. So you can cut it up in various ways, okay? So when you look at this model for division, the sum, that's just all the numbers that you're multiplying, what they equal. The numbers in red is the quotient, okay? Or the result of the division problem. Okay, you know how product is the answer to a multiplication equation? Quotient is the answer to a division problem. Okay, so in other words, every single time they broke up 600 because 600 was the quotient in the last problem. See, that equals 600. Whoops, not the 500. And this equals 600. Okay, so each time they broke up what was the answer up here, the 600. Okay, because 600 is the quotient or the answer to the division problem, answer to a division problem. The sum of the numbers inside the area model are the dividend. So the 3,000 is the dividend, okay, or the total that you're dividing. So the amount you're cutting up, the big number. The number at the side of the model is called the divisor. I know this is very confusing, or the number you're dividing by. Okay, so let me back that up. Let me show you what that looks like. 35 cut up into 5 equals 6. Okay, the total number is going to be your dividend, your big number, okay? It's the number you're cutting up. The divisor is going to be the number you're cutting it up into, how many groups. And your answer is going to be a quotient. So if they ask you what is the quotient of, they're just saying what's the answer to the division problem, okay? Now, take a look at this. There's more than one way to write a division problem. So division can look like this. 35 divided by 5. Or it can look like this, which looks a lot like a fraction, and you're going to learn about that later in math. Oops, that should be a 5, not a 6. 35 divided by 5. And that division line right there, come on. That division line still means cut up into. That doesn't change. And it can also look like this. The big number, I always say the big number in the house. Okay, imagine that as like a division house. The big number goes in the house. That's going to be your dividend, and your divisor goes on the outside. Okay? Your quotient, your answer, will go up there. But all of these mean to divide, and they all mean cut up into. Okay? Now, I want you to take a look at this. They're saying sometimes when you divide, it doesn't make equal groups. There's like leftovers, okay? It doesn't go in evenly. It doesn't divide evenly. The amount left over is called the remainder, or like what's remaining, what's left. When you divide 17 by 4, you get a remainder of 1. Think about this. 4 friends are dividing up 17 pieces of candy. So let's just picture this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, and you've got 4 friends. So 4 friends means, well, friend 1, friend 2, friend 3, friend 4. Okay, they each are going to get 4. That means 4 groups of 4 equals 16. But wait a minute. We got this little leftover piece of candy. You can't just give it to one of the friends because it's not fair. It's not even. And if it's just a little bite-sized piece of candy, you can't cut it up. Okay? That's later. That's 5th grade math. But what we have is something left over. So you give it to me, okay? So we write a little R1. That means remainder. That means it's left over, okay? So explain how an area model shows both multiplication and division. An area model shows the total that is divided. It shows the divisor the number of groups we make. And it shows the quotient or the number in each group. Remember, if I went too fast, you can pause it, slow it down, rewind it, do it again. And this is new today. So when you go and do your practice book page, which is, let me double check, page 93, okay, 93 and 94, just do your best. It's new. We're going to go over it together. Okay. There's also lots of practice that you can do. You can go in and do the teacher assigned. I will double check and make sure those teacher assigned videos are there. And you can also go to IXL. Okay. There's plenty of IXL lessons. Just type in multiplication and division and you can find some there too. Okay.